Hi.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another reaction and review with Lucas, the Disney Grizzly, and Justin.
What's up, guys?
Today we're doing Loki, which
Ooh,
just dropped on Disney Plus, episode 1.
super excited for this whole series. Very excited. I'm really interested to see where the series is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, part of me is like, it's more Marvel content, so I'm excited. But the other part is like, I'm still trying to figure out where I am with how much I like Loki because there was a time when he was like the big player, right? Back
Mm-hmm.
in 2013, 2012. You know,
2012.
yeah.
It says it right in
We
the.
had that. Yeah, he was it. Like he was the best villain we'd had thus far, and then of course, ultimately is now shining into that anti-hero uh,
Facade.
stage.
Yeah.
But this Loki is a different Loki
Yeah, this
than
is
the
the
one
Loki
we've
that I
seen.
didn't like. This is the Loki I didn't like. Yeah. But change of heart and decided, well, anyways. So let's do a little quick,
Mm.
like, non spoiler just for people who might be coming in or just starting to watch the video.
Yep.
Anyways, guys, right off the rip, just I want you to hit the like button. I want you to hit the notification button and light up the comments too. It is what it is. But so little non-spoilery. So it's about time travel. Like it is hair top of my head high in time travel. It does not stray away from it. It addresses issues with time travel from in game. It's just all
Yeah,
about
I
time
mean
travel.
the you know the what we knew about the show before we watched it, which is basically the synopsis of the show. It's a non-spoiler synopsis. Is this spoils Endgame to an extent? So if you haven't seen Endgame, cover your ears, take a break, go eat a sub. Hi Katrina, what's
What's up,
up?
Katrina? Hey, how are you?
Um,
Been a hot minute, right?
and so you're gonna want to avoid that. But like in Endgame, there's a scene where Loki um in when there is a time travel mechanic that happens in Endgame, and then in that time travel mechanic, they mess with Loki's past specifically, and
Exactly.
Loki in that time stream is where this show picks up, not the
Exactly.
Loki that that spoilers for Infinity War bit the dust
Yeah.
and Infinity War, so that Loki's timeline is done and this is a new Loki. This is the Loki that has not gone through the subsequent movie arcs to have a kind of redemption. He picked this. We pick up right from the get go where he is
Still a
just
throbbing piece
beat
of dog
just
meat.
got his butt whooped by the Avengers in
Dog
first
meat. He is
Avengers.
dog meat. No other word
Well,
for it.
so
He's
that's where it go, and the further on with the synopsis is that he because he is not he's not the correct version of his timeline. He is he finds himself in a Marvel staple organization from the comics.
yeah,
I'm not gonna spoil the name of it. It's just TVA. I'm not gonna spoil what those letters mean. But
exactly. Well, not yet because we will get into spoilers
yes,
later.
yes. And from then on, it's about him. And if you've seen the trailer, Owen Wilson is one of the heads or agents of the
Definitely,
TVA.
definitely hope he
That
stays around. I like him so far.
he's gonna,
Yeah.
and ka-chow. Anyway,
Wow.
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 Um, so we that's kind of where we're at. So it's kind of about the mystery of that lingering plot hole that if you had just watched Endgame, you'd be like, that's a big, huge mistake and overlooking thing that happened. We have to address
And they addressed
because
it because
and this show is all about addressing that and perhaps as the show continues, other time plot holes that have happened throughout the entire Marvel series.
exactly.
That hasn't been addressed yet.
Yeah. So they've been using all these shows so far to tie up loose ends that they've left throughout their movies. Have you noticed that?
Well, it's loose ends, but it's more of. I think Loki is the most loose ends, but the other ones, it's just Marvel. The Marvel movies
Character
are all loose
development.
ends. Every time a
Character.
Marvel movie
Right.
ends, there is more story to be told, and I think WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier are just the continuation. I don't think they're like loose ends. It's not like they're going way back to something that
Well,
happened that they're addressing. Loki
no.
is very,
Mm.
very direct in that, but the others aren't. It's just the
I
natural.
mean,
It's
well,
just we pick up with them where they
Yeah.
left off.
Well, I mean, for me, WandaVision, like when I mean loose ends, I mean like, so WandaVision, right? When Wanda was introduced in the MCU, like we knew she was a mutant outside of the MCU, so
Yeah,
we had
yeah.
to like, and we knew her powers, et cetera, et cetera. So like when she was introduced in the MCU, we just had to be convinced that the time gem or mind gem, whichever one, gave her like telekinetic powers and like witchy hands, right?
Witchy hands.
Witchy hands. Like we were supposed to just believe that and it'd be
That's what
okay
all
with
the
it.
kids are into now. The witchy hands.
Indefinitely. Here for a moment. What's up, guys? How are y'all doing?
Hey.
But like we were supposed to just believe that she, had those powers. No explanation behind it. Just believe that Quicksilver's fast and she has witchy hands powers. But then WandaVision came and then explained to us everything basically behind Wanda, et cetera, et cetera. So that was a loose end that they just breezed over it and they tied up with the show. And then they went into with like Falcon and Winter Soldier, like the Baron Zemo whole thing about Sokovia, like what he actually is, what he's doing. Like they didn't, with the main characters, they didn't really tie up loose ends. It was the villain they tied up a loose end for in Winter Soldier. So they're going through and like doing like this weaving motion almost with these shows and like fixing the problems that were in the movies, I feel like, or like unexplained things in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I loved it. We both loved it too. Got here for a moment. We both really did. It's something. I think it has the makings to be my favorite of the shows, just because of how this first episode went. If by the way you're just joining in, me and Justin are doing like some non-spoilers right now, but we'll definitely get into spoilers in a little bit. But like it has the makings to be my favorite show so far because of what kind of episode it was. It wasn't just like boom in your face. Like WandaVision started off like what the heck's going on? Like, and it took forever for us to figure out what the heck was going on. And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier
has the best of both worlds when it comes to that, because WandaVision, it was all about the
mystery of what's going on.
Whereas this show has a little bit of the intrigue of like we're getting a lot of questions that don't have answers after the first episode, but most of the first episode is answering questions and introducing.
And then
not like WandaVision where you're like, oh my god, what is happening?
What's up, Jake? What's up, man? And then we'll continue what I was saying too, but with Falcon and Winter Soldier, like it felt like a traditional Marvel movie, whereas like it felt like a continuation of the Captain America story, essentially. Mm-hmm. Like it was verbatim, probably the best filmed of the two that we got so far. Now Loki is like a combination of the both so far, where it's like mystery and like great character development, and it has the makings to be my favorite one, like I said. But that's just from the first episode.
Right, and the other thing too is with WandaVision, we didn't really get introduced to any real major players. It would, unless you look at like Agnes, being involved.
That was a whole mystery show.
That was more hinted towards it. Whereas in this one, we get the Hollywood gold of Owen Wilson immediately in your face and just like verbatim. Like it's not like this mysterious figure. He's there. He's present, and the chemistry he has with Tom Hiddleston, throughout the first episode is a great indication of what Lucas is saying, how this has the potential to be his favorite. I would say the same on my side. I also think that Loki has an extreme advantage of having been around in the Marvel universe since like 2010 when the first Thor came out.
Mhm.
We've had Loki, we've had Tom Hiddleston in that role, and we've seen his journey for way more movies than we have with Wanda and um,
100%.
Falcon and Winter Soldier. I mean, all those people have
Well,
probably
those were.
way less screen time up into their shows. Um, Jake is commenting about something that's kind of spoilery, so we'll get
Oh,
into that later.
my bad.
Um,
Oops, I clicked
we're
it.
doing so. Jake, you just joined. We're doing non-spoiler stuff right now. We'll get into
Yeah.
that in a little bit. But I think when Loki was way more of already a fan favorite, where Falcon and Winter Soldier and Scarlet Witch and Vision just hadn't had they weren't coming into their shows with the kind of following that Loki already
This
had.
is the first show that we have of a main character, not a side character. Because I would envision Loki being a main character essentially. Like he's like a buddy cop. He's like a buddy cop to Thor after the first movie,
Yeah, like
right?
must you get help?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So he became more of like a buddy cop like Buzz and Woody basically. Everyone sees the Toy Story movies as like Woody as Woody and Buzz, but it's actually Woody with like a little side serving of Buzz.
So unless you want to continue to analyze this in comparison to WandaVision and Falcon more, I was just going to say some very quick non-spoiler. If you haven't seen this episode yet, it will deliver to you the laughs that Marvel is known for. It actually has some really touching and heartfelt
It does.
emotional stuff that
I
I
got
wasn't
teary.
ready for. You get a little teary. So this first episode has a range of the emotions. Yeah, and I don't even think Owen. This is a spoiler slightly, but I don't think Owen says "wow" the entire episode.
I know. I
have
was
to
so
watch it again.
ready.
I feel like
You
he's
better say
trying.
wow at least once. But this is also a little spoilery before we cut it because of the way he's speaking is very Owen Wilson. Like he's playing Owen Wilson in a Marvel show. Like he's just talking really softly and he's drinking his dialogue very
I think that's
like
his character
whimsical.
though, and it's perfect. Like it is like it's what I want. It's like I didn't know Wanda not coming back.
Like WandaVision, the show probably.
Yeah,
which is fine because
it was in and out. Yeah,
WandaVision is over. Next time we see Wanda, it's probably going to be a Multiverse of Madness. Probably.
Yeah. And that So I guess.
Yeah.
Having said that, that's what you need to go into this episode expecting. Do you have any other non-spoiler things to say, Lucas?
Not really. I don't think so. I think rest of it's all spoilers from here on out.
I think I'll add one more thing. I think, and we'll go right into the spoilers after this, so I can elaborate on it. But I think in 40 minutes, this show has more character development with Loki, particularly in such a small window of time, than perhaps any small length of time. It usually takes a lot longer for.
Out of the shows,
huge
this is the most
development
character development in any episode for any character, which is crazy because we had all these movies developing this character over and over again.
Right.
Basically, we get rewritten because this is 2012 Loki, end of Avengers, and basically character literally gets developed right in front of our eyes, like in a matter.
And that is because, spoiler time, Owen Wilson is, it turns out Loki, all he needed was therapy. That's all he needed. He needed some therapy.
He's not really bad guy, but is he bad guy?
We'll elaborate, but I just want to hit on the most impactful thing here to me, like right from the beginning, is Loki is Owen Wilson's character is fascinated with Loki to the point where he's trying to push Loki off of his pedestal.
Exactly.
And
This is God King Loki we're dealing.
Yeah.
Well, God King Loki we're dealing with, where he thinks he's the most supreme being in universe and still thinks he can take on Thanos.
Yeah.
And survive.
And it took a scene of the diminishing importance of the Infinity Stones being reduced to paperweights, and Loki to just have no power over anything, to then finally open up to somebody. Because you think he opens up to Thor to some extent, but he has never in 20 movies or 24 movies bared his his heart
on his
and
shoulder.
soul so openly to anybody, and it's because of Owen Wilson. When Owen Wilson is your therapist, you're just going to tell him. So
I just want to throw this out real. Actually, no, I'll wait till because I got another section I want to talk about. I could actually add something to, but so first off, before we go into do you want to do a full explanation of the show, or do you just want to just rabble? Because we can do a full explanation of the show.
We'll do a very short one. So basically, when it comes to thoughts on the show, we get yes. So he here for a moment is talking about Loki landing in the desert as a tribute to Iron Man 1. Yeah, like it possibly was, because again, this just shows kind of doing so many different things, storytelling wise. Because if you look at, there's like this metaphorical thing of Iron Man, who is also on a high pedestal, getting knocked down, and that's kind of the great trope that is repeated again and again. We saw it with Doctor Strange. So we're seeing it with Loki, and it's just this idea of getting crushed like a diamond into your true self. And there's a line later on where Mobius, that's Owen Wilson's character's name, is a really cool name. Says Loki's purpose is to bring out the best in other people by giving them something to overcome, not for his best to come out. So Loki here is getting that chance, because whereas normally Loki would be the person doing that, his circumstances are reversed in the same way that Iron Man's was in the first Iron Man. So I definitely saw that. And again, we get this show. There was another podcast that I watched about it, and they had this thing where once you get into this realm, the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, is that what it is? Agency, something.
Association,
I don't remember what.
Something. Isn't it?
It's not associated. I think it's authority. Once you get that high scale, where they start throwing out things like that, those things were supposed to happen in that timeline. It kind of diminishes to an extent the rest. Yeah, I thought it was authority. Jake is clarifying. Good old Jake. Thank you.
Coming in hot with the facts.
And it just diminishes kind of all the stuff going on outside to an extent. And
yeah, because now you're near omnipotent status.
Yeah, and it's just like, well, and we're going to get more of that, coming up with the Eternals. That's going to bring us to this weird situation,
like near godlyhood status of characters. We're not messing with mortals and aliens anymore. We're messing with like deities, which is exciting.
And this is what when you think of the stakes being this, at the scale being this big, it makes me happy for all the people who are just never going to watch Doctor Who, because they literally in this episode are like, yeah, there was a time war.
So I'm not going to lie to you, Justin. A little bit of Doctor Who that you showed me, and I was the episodes, excuse me, guys, that I was kind of okay with. This whole episode had a Doctor Who feeling, and I don't even know Doctor Who that well. I just know very little bit of Doctor Who.
Yes, we're in spoilers, Jake.
Yes, we are in spoilers, Jake. Yeah. But it had a very Doctor Who / X-Files feel to me. That's what it felt like.
I don't get the X-Files at all.
I get some
maybe X-Files from the music. maybe from the music.
That's what I'm saying. Is like the music
My
and
favorite
the color
aspect of this
tones and the
show.
palette of everything. The color tones and palettes of like the color
I don't know if I would
tones and everything
call
is more
X-Files
like
a color palette. I don't think X-Files has a color palette. I think it's just low budget TV.
but the color palette itself made me think of like Doctor Who as well.
Well, it is like they're very on the nose about the Doctor Who relationship to it because it's literally a British guy who, not in the first episode, but presumably going forward from here, Agent Carter in the TVA? No.
That might be, and that could be
Is it a prediction?
That could be talking about in the predictions and theories of the show section.
Well, they might not be here for that moment, but maybe they will. I don't know.
All right. So
yeah.
So Loki crashes in the Gobi Desert. Loki gets snatched up by the TVA because now he's a variant of time. That's what he's called. He's a variant of Loki. So whenever you
all the rules out at this point.
All the rules are gone. So one of the coolest scenes, so let me pop into this over here. So things that stood out you most. One of the coolest scenes in that show and in the episode was when he gets knocked in his face and his face fat is still just going. Blah, 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 blah,
oh yeah,
blah, 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 blah.
He's kind of turning into the Wile E. Coyote for like people way more powerful than him, because like we saw it first with the Hulk beating him, like just slapping him around. Then we saw it with Doctor Strange having him fall for 30 minutes through a never-ending portal.
Yes.
Now we're seeing it's like he's always dealing with somebody just taking him down a notch. So here for a moment, just I don't want to. Here's the thing, I don't want to get into the same headache that I have with WandaVision.
Fun story about you said WandaVision. Already confirmed. The creator of the show came out, like before the show came out. He's like, Mephisto is not involved. Like verbatim quote from the creator of the show. Mephisto is not involved. So they right off the rip, they're just like, you stop it right now.
Jake is coming up with some details here. Wrong, sir. Wrong. The stones that they took from the other universe,
it's the same. It's the same
in their own universe. So
it's the same universes. So right now, I don't think a multiverse exists because of the way they describe the Time War and the Timekeepers. They melded the multiverses into one universe, and it's on the time stream, right? And they're in control of it. That's why I think that's going to lead into the Multiverse of Madness. Anyways, prediction time later. Anyways, so it says time stream, right?
I do want to address that point, because Jake's getting like defensive, with reason. That would suggest that time streams and universes are different, and in that case, you would be correct. But to me, knowing the little bit about physics as I do, as a pretentious guy I am, doesn't make sense to me, because that's literally what the Ancient One said when she did the little time stream, and then she's like, "Here's another stream, and that's another universe. This is a universe," and so they got those stones from that universe, used them in this universe, and then brought them back.
Yeah.
No, I know that the stones couldn't be used in that pocket universe, but
the stones not being able to be used to me was just like, so it's the same stones. They're all the same stones because it's different variants. Because they said in the little like different variants popped out of the time stream over years that have Infinity Stones, and they just confiscated them basically.
Right, and everything there is not being kept from anywhere else, because that place doesn't exist in time. Exactly. That place exists at all points in time. Those stones could be there for millions of years in the TVA, and as long as at some point they're brought in when they need to be brought in, then it doesn't matter. I don't know, Jake. I don't want to go down the physics rabbit hole.
That just made me like spiral. Okay. Anyway,
let's stick with the. God,
Anyway, so
I
he
don't
gets
want to
smacked-
argue
he
about
gets-
something that
he
doesn't
gets-
make sense in the first place.
It doesn't. So he gets smacked. Cool scene. Cool, probably one of the coolest scenes ever. And then he gets yacked up by the TVA agents.
Mhm.
And then he gets sent through like this cool little like you said, Wile E. Coyote effect through the floors, and just like, I am Loki, and he's like, sign this paper, stop it, sign this paper, and sends him away again. And then he gets
All
his
the
clothes
while
stripped
he's
off of him
still
and just-
trying
yeah,
to pretend that he's in control.
exactly.
That he is, which is addressed later, but he's got this. It's like the slow build up. The first thing he does when he wakes up on the desert is he stands on a rock so that he can position himself over in height over the population that's there, just to show you that he desperately needs to feel in control.
Yeah.
Yes, again, we can understand that the TVA is not affected by magic, is not affected by outside influence whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of stones only working in their own universe. Like, we could discuss that, but like I don't
until
think
we get multiverses introduced into the show, we don't know what happens with what, right?
I mean,
I'm saying we'll just leave it at that. We'll just leave it at because the MCU exists outside of comics. MCU
all
is
I'm
their
saying
own
is, to
timeline,
me,
their
the
own universe.
multiverse is different time streams are multiverses,
Exactly.
but we haven't gotten into a directly different
multiversal,
like extremely variant. I'm going to keep using that word, variant universe. So exactly. I don't know. Again, it's physics, it's time. With human beings, we can't think fourth dimensionally, like Dr. Emmett Brown said. So
exactly. So moving forward, he gets yacked up. He gets sent through a line, goes to a judge. Judge tells him, "You're going back. You're being erased or reset. You're going back to where you were, and you're going to get back to what you're supposed to be doing, getting your butt pummeled by the Avengers and going straight to jail and over in Asgard." But then Owen Wilson pops out of nowhere because Owen Wilson, Mobius, is dealing with some bullcrap. A bunch of TVA agents are just getting whacked all over the place, whacked up and down. Whacked in France, 1800s, whacked in the 1900s, whacked in the 2000s, whacked all over the place. So then he's like, "Hey, I could use this guy for some help." And he walks up to her and it has this cool little exchange with like, "I like your authority." And she's just like, "Mm." And then it goes into him like trying to do his interrogation on Loki. And Loki's like, "Well, I'm the biggest man in the room." And Owen Wilson's like, "Haha, joke's on you."
Well, I mean, Owen Wilson isn't really like, he's not enjoying the idea of flexing. He's doing it when it's necessary, but he's
but
not the kind of guy.
Big. Those flexes are so big, though.
They are, but like, he's not. Owen Wilson's character, I love that he's just humble. He's just like, whatever.
That's the best kind of flex.
You'll get over it. You'll get over it. You know, you'll figure it out. He's not like, "Look at me, I'm awesome." He's just like, "Here we go. All right.
Well, you're doing something. You're doing something screwy again. I guess I got to deal with this." And he like, so he starts. Loki tries him a bunch. And another cool thing about the show that I like visually is they have this like time turner thing. Basically, think like the Harry Potter time turner, where it brings you back and forth in time. So like you see this little like, and it goes back and forth like through time, like Prince of Persia, the game for Sands of Time. Perfect example.
We don't need to talk about Prince of Persia in this podcast. We don't need to talk about it.
All right. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.
Sorry, we didn't address your theories, but maybe Agent Carter.
Maybe. Come back later.
Have to wait till the next episode or two. I don't know.
We'll have to see. Anyways, so it's like a really cool like time turner thing, and it bops back and forth. Really cool effects. I like it a lot. Carla, she didn't really like it a lot. She doesn't like. Yeah. It's
like a leash, but instead of a string,
really long leash.
Timeline.
Exactly, which is awesome. So then finally, like, he thinks he's getting. All right, man. Thanks. Yes, send it over. We'll definitely check it out. But so he like thinks he's getting to him finally because he starts showing him memories. So as I'm sitting there watching it, I'm like, so when are they going to show his death memories? Because it's all like old stuff. So it's like Avengers and pre-Avengers stuff. And I'm like, okay, like I care about this, but I want Loki to get hit in the feels, right? I want him to get hit in the field, be like, oh, I'm going to die because he's got God King status right now. Like in his mind, he thinks he's better than everybody else. So then the girl who arrests him boom, through the door, and she's just like, I don't agree with this. And then Owen Wilson's like, no, please calm down. I have this under control. And then Loki's just like, and then Loki like puts his hand on him and is like, yeah, man, I'm good. So then he's like, Owen Wilson's like, hey, let me talk to you outside. And then Homegirl is like, yeah, let's talk outside. And she starts yelling at her. Then she goes back inside. Loki's gone. Come to find out, he's got his little time turner.
Yeah,
thing.
And that's the cool thing is Loki here, even though he's way out of his depth, is still being clever enough to just gain a little bit of control back, get away from the collar.
Exactly.
But because he is never truly in control, because obviously Owen Wilson is playing some not so subtle mind games with him to the point where it's like, it's kind of like the whole
agreed.
You can leave, but then you're not going to have access to all these things. You can try, but you're going to come back.
Exactly. So when Loki gets brought to the TVA, he has the Tesseract, and then back when he first gets like abducted by the TVA, like they look at it as like, it's like, be careful with that. That's the Tesseract, and they're like, oh, what is that? Who cares? So then he meets up with like the little desk clerk, and he's just starting to cut you like a fish.
Is that cat a Flurkin? You think?
I think so, actually. As soon as they zoomed in on the cat, I was like, oh my god.
I was like, is that a Flurkin?
Anyways, so he goes to the desk clerk. He's like, I'm gonna cut you like a fish, and the guy's like, I don't even know what a fish is. Am I supposed to be terrified? Ah! And he's just like,
the other guy comes up and he's like, why doesn't it? He's like, what? Hey, what's a fish? He's like, why is that important? He's like, because if I'm being threatened, I want to know how I'm being threatened. Like, this is just hitting us again with that Marvel humor,
It was really good. Really good Marvel humor. But anyway, so like he goes through the whole deal. He's like, I gotta get the Tesseract, and he picks it up, and then like he like as soon as he opens the drawer, sees the Tesseract, and then that's when he sees what we were discussing earlier, like all these Infinity Stones just littered in there. He's like, what are all these Infinity Stones doing in here? And the desk clerk was just like, oh, we kind of use them as paperweights. Just tossing them around. Some of the guys, just like have fun with them. And Loki's like floored. And that's where
the turn starts with him, because you can see his face just like nothing really matters.
So what I thought would happen though in that whole scene, like it was a very well done scene, but like another like hitting moment would be like, when he's holding the Tesseract down to his side, if he just dropped out of his hands and like hit the floor with and then it cut scene with a resounding thud, like the Tesseract just hit the floor, thud. That would have been a really good like hard hitting moment to like be like, wow, this is the world and what he's having to live in right now. So then.
We didn't talk about him going on trial.
I just sped right through that,
which I think was important to mention, because that is classic Loki being Loki.
Oh yeah,
where he's just up there. They're like, "How do you plead?" And he's like, "Guilty,
guilty of this, guilty of this, guilty of this."
But like of ruling you guys, ha ha! Like he was trying to do the call an ambulance, but not for me.
I just want him once to do like the Mandark laugh from Dexter. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, so let's get back to where Owen Wilson's going back into like his interrogation room where he was showing him all these memories, and then
he went back there on his own to look at
exactly.
Stuff. He wasn't ready. He wasn't supposed to look at
exactly. Sorry, my bad. I completely skipped that. So Loki goes back to the room. And then he's starting to look through all his like memories and stuff, and sees that his mom dies. Because Mobius actually shows him his mom dead. So he's reliving that memory. And all of a sudden, TV agent comes in, boom, comes in the door, and then she's just like, "I'm gonna hit you with my zappy stick." And he's like, "Oh no, you're not." And he gets her and he puts her on the leash and then just plays with her like.
And he is so happy to finally be on the other side of that kind of a gag for once, that he just sits there way too longer than the episode needed for him to do that, for it to be funny, but enough that I was just like could not stop laughing. I had to pause the show to just be like, oh my god,
to recover. So then she finally gets booped out, and then he continues watching, and that's where he sees the building of his brotherly bond with Thor and his death of his father, which also hit like a sack of bricks.
Well, and his mom. his mom too. The most important, which is the first thing that happened was he saw that he
That
was
he
going to
caused
be the
it.
reason that his mom died. And
Yeah.
just a shout out to the music of this show, which overall is just this vaporwave, retro synth wave kind of 80s. It's keeping in the style with Thor Ragnarok, but less whimsical and way darker and
Mm-hmm.
mysterious.
100%.
But for
100%.
this scene, they bring back, if you remember, I don't remember his mom's name, but
Freya?
yeah, Freya. I was gonna say
Mhm.
Frigga, but Freya. If you
Freya.
remember her from Dark World, she had a theme, and it was a very Celtic theme,
Hmm.
and they played it again in Endgame when Thor was talking to her, and it's become iconic now. They play it here, but it's very, very dark.
Because
It's a
she's
lot
dead.
slower,
She's dead.
and it's kind of got a synthness to it.
Like that
Um,
80s feel.
yeah, and
Mm.
it's just it's one of the most impactful scenes that I just did not expect anything near this high caliber of emotion to hit. Following that,
The
with
one
like
I
what you
almost
were saying,
cried on was his face when he was watching his father die.
his father
When he was
called him
watching,
son, and yeah, and he's
yeah,
like, "Oh, I've been a horrible person. I should not have,
exactly. And
should have
then
done all this."
finally we see his encounter with Thanos and him dying, and you hear the bone crack, and then you see they seeing that Thor actually loved his brother because he's crying over his brother's dead body.
Mhm.
And then another thing, which ties into the predictions area of things to talk about, but this is like an old prediction. A lot of people thought Loki didn't die on Thanos' ship; that it was like a after image or something. Because they never, when a frost giant dies, when he was supposed to die, he was supposed to turn back into his true frost giant form,
Mhm.
and they didn't show that in Endgame. But we get confirmation he's dead because the tape ends. So finally, we have the confirmation that Loki is dead.
Well, he does turn a little blue, but that might just be from the strangling. Uh,
Yeah. Oh, true.
Also, going back to the Frost Giant, they introduce him
As Laufey's
as
son.
Laufey's son, which was
Yeah.
really just something that just shows how close attention they're paying to continuity, and it's just another incredible detail that
It is.
they didn't have to include, but they did, and it just makes it so
It
much more
is.
cohesive.
So
Continuing on from the change of Loki seeing all this
so
footage.
so another one of my favorite scenes when he's like sitting down, right? And I keep calling him Owen Wilson because he's Owen Wilson, but Mobius walks in and he's got like the zappy stick. He's just like, Loki, you in here, buddy? I don't want to have to use this. Hello.
And that zappy stick basically erases you from existence.
Exactly. That's crazy. Like that is so powerful for just a basic grunt. A grunt has that. That's wild.
Right.
So he then proceeds, like he finally tells us, like, who are you? Basically the caterpillar from Alice. It's like, who are you?
And he's
Like,
been
what
constantly up to this
are
point.
you?
He's been constantly asking him, "Do you enjoy hurting people? Do you enjoy hurting people?" And
Finally he said no.
Well, this is where we get the first, like I said, Loki's never opened up to anybody before. All he needed was some therapy. Oh, well, Mobius is his psychiatrist saying, "Do you like hurting people?" And he's like, "I have a desperate need to be in control. So everything I do is just a facade. I put on it I'm a master of illusions. I'm the god of mischief. I build that persona. I act like I enjoy it because if I don't do that, then people don't fear me and I don't get that respect and I lose control." And oh my God, having him bare his soul like that after having seen 20 movies of him, all
being
just
a little deep the whole time,
right there, just coming to the surface, just remembering, like even going back to like when you watch the first Thor movie, they're little boys at the beginning of the movie, him and Thor, and they're just like, yeah, it's always Loki and Thor's shadow, and Loki having to try just a little bit harder because he's not the true born son, and he's just he's embraced the fact that his villain because the only way he can be number one is if he's the villain, because the number one good guy is, in his eyes,
Thor.
his brother.
Yeah. So I know we just got a little serious there, but like, so you said God of Mischief, which made me realize, like, it made me remember, like, Mobius keeps saying, he's like, that's not a very like mischief of you, like God of Mischief, huh? What kind of mischievous stuff do you do? Like, killing people isn't really mischievous. And then finally, when he steals the time skipper, he goes, that mischievous scamp. And I just lost it. I lost it on that. Like, that was the one part that made me just like literally stop what I was doing.
We
I
skipped
spit
over
some and
we skipped over his other flashback to being mischievous on the airplane as who, Jake? I don't know this. This was one of those hard references that I didn't get.
it's someone in history. It's some
Jake
robber or
mentioned it.
something,
I'm trying to
right?
look it up.
It's some robber from history.
I'm
Back
looking
up.
for you, Jake.
You said it back down here. Ah,
Awkward.
yeah, awkward guys.
DB
Sorry,
Cooper. DB
yeah.
Cooper. He wanted it to be a dedicated episode. I don't know if he's still here. Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't know anything about DB Cooper. I feel uncultured.
I mean, I didn't either. When I saw it, I was just like, what is going on and why are we seeing this flashback? I was like, is this a variant of Loki? Is that what we're watching right now? Are we watching a different universe Loki?
That
But
there
it was like a time stream. It was something that actually happened to him in the past. So,
and here's like the only problem I have with this first episode, was with that scene. He says, "I was young and stupid," but Loki's timeline, the way that Marvel has thus far handled space, is that all space exists in the same way as Earth time. So if Loki is 1,000 years old, then planes didn't start existing until he was like 990 or something.
yeah.
900 years old. So he wouldn't be young there.
But as Guardians age differently.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
this is another whole like.
I don't think it fits in the continuity. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah,
because if they
we'll
do they age longer, but the way that things have been established, Asgard is a very old place.
Yeah.
So Jake is coming up with the facts, because we're uncultured, unhistorical idiots here, where we don't know anything about it. So the only evidence ever found after Mr. Cooper jumped from the plane was a few bills on the Hudson River in real. So yeah, and Loki I get that, because when he got bifrosted up into Asgard, the money was just flying around. But
anyways, so where do we leave off? Oh yeah, he's just like, who are you? Who are you? Loki goes in this whole like mental breakdown. So then he's like, what do you need of me? Why am I here? Like, what do you need from me, Mobius? And Mobius finally breaks down and says, we're chasing a variant, a very dangerous variant. And he's like, oh, so that's why I'm here, because you're chasing me? And he's like, no, we're chasing a very dangerous variant, and it is you.
But not you.
So then we cut to the, 1900s, 1800s, 1600s, another timeline, and these, TV agents are sitting there, like, they found like a weapon that doesn't, a third millennia weapon. So it's in the future, from the future this time, like future, past like in-game future. And we get them trying to, like, let's just erase everything, reset everything, go back to normal. And then all of a sudden, fire. And then, like, all these guys are dying. And then we see a cloaked figure, and we're led to assume that's a variant of Loki.
Or Wanda, Scarlet Witch.
So,
or Mephisto. It was a shovel.
It was the shovel all along.
No, he's saying that's the weapon.
Yeah. But
like, was it? I don't.
But so that's how the show ends. And I think as a first episode out of the three, if I compare it to the other three shows, best episode for a first episode. Awesome.
Yeah, but without relying on a ton of action, because the only action in this is the
rehashing of scenes.
fight scenes he has with the TVA agent to get away, but they're more of like very short runaway scenes.
Exactly.
But we also we a couple things we didn't talk about. There is in the middle of towards the beginning of the episode, there is a explanation video for the TVA that Loki gets to watch. That is a beautifully animated in the Jetson style
So
segment, and it's awesome.
when they showed they showed the timekeepers, right? And there's 3 of them. So this is in the prediction area for me, and I might save a hold of it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get into that since we're here because I got.
You want to? Okay, so let's do predictions and theories times. Let's go skip. Okay, so I think the timekeepers might be the living tribunal.
I've seen a lot of different theories on this. One person thinks that Kang the Conqueror is one of them. And has killed the others, and nobody. He's kind of like the man behind the curtain.
So you think there might be 3? What if there's 3 variants of Kang, and they're all possibly. 3 are?
I don't know. I don't know anything about Kang the Conqueror. I just know from
Thanos level threat,
right?
Thanos level threat,
exactly. And I know he's been cast already.
Oh, he's in Quantumanium.
So
confirmed.
Ooh.
Yeah.
They also in this episode. Just a quick little Easter egg. They do say if the time streams were messed up, there would be war. Madness, which is a
multiversal war.
Yeah. So we're laying the breadcrumbs, which is one of the reasons I love these shows is because back in the day we would get a movie and an end credit scene. And the only hints of the future we would get would be in the end credit scene. Lady Loki.
I think, I actually think Lady Loki will actually become part of the show because she's really a popular topic. And young Loki might. I think it's Lady Loki if anything happens. So
anyway, Multiverse of Madness coming up, and we're getting slow from WandaVision to Loki. We're getting these slow like you're boiling the water just real slowly. We're not at that bubbling point yet, but when that
we're out of the shallow end we're out of the shallow end of the pool right now.
We don't have a Spider-Man trailer yet. We don't know how crazy Multiverse is going to get.
That's something that is very on topic to me. So if everything is a plan, right? If everything is planned, if Tom Holland's new movie, Spider-Man No Way Home, is actually a multiversal event that brings in the characters that are rumored to be in the movie and confirmed to be in the movie, is it the Timekeeper's plan for other versions of these characters to meet themselves? Or is something happen in No Way Home or something happens in Loki that diverts all of this and starts to spiderweb out?
All I know is when they said multiversal war and they're outside of time and time can exist with time travel where you're at any point in time whenever you want to be. I think that one day we will see on a movie the multiversal war that they're talking about having already happened in Loki.
They could just run secret.
It'll be Secret Wars.
Yeah.
It'll be multiversal superheroes with different versions, which is like insane to think about. And it's even more insane that they're already getting into these. Like, we're so far up in scale at this point before we've even introduced Fantastic Four.
Oh, because Fantastic Four deals with like celestial and deity level threats all the time.
Not at the beginning of their inception, though. So, yay, Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Jake is throwing his predictions out so he's like.
Yeah. So I feel like Loki is actually WandaVision gave us the slight setup about multiverses. And then Winter Soldier was literally just a cut and dry, like very by the books Marvel show. And then I think Loki is the setup, the rest of the setup that WandaVision provided with the breadcrumb. I think
they called Wanda a Nexus being. And they mentioned Nexus in this, but I can't remember.
WandaVision was the breadcrumbs you're talking about.
Yeah.
and Loki is the entry point. I think that's what's happening.
It's so slow, but it's just going to make that hit moment hit even harder because we've had all this slow buildup.
So I kind of agree with all of Jake's like Loki theories because this is shows Loki and like the different Loki spellings going all out. So it's different versions of Loki, et cetera, yada yada. But I also think that we're going to see a betrayal from to like Avengers Loki. Like I don't know what if he said what he said to Mobius was fully true yet. Maybe he will become fully true, but I don't think seeing like completely like redeemed Loki that we saw basically in the first episode is going to be the way everything runs.
He hasn't had a chance to prove himself, but he's bared. He's showed his willingness to change, but he hasn't changed
But
yet.
he is the moniker of the God of Mischief. So what if he's actually doing his moniker and showing the mischievous? I hope not either. But at the same time, I hope so as well because that's his shtick. That's his gimmick.
But we've already seen his gimmick through the course of, how many movies now, and
but if we see that gimmick happen once, if we see that gimmick happen once, where he has someone completely devoted to his trust and he diverts it, but then redeems like full on does the redemption, like the final redemption.
Do you think he's going to betray Mobius?
I think there's a chance he could do something snaky.
I think he will struggle with doing it. He will start to do it, and then
I don't think he was fully truthful yet.
Change.
I don't think he was fully truthful.
I think he was because he didn't have anything to lose. Like he realized how insignificant he was in the grand scheme of things. And
I want to believe that. No, I want to believe that aspect. I want to.
I'm a sucker. So if
I'm a cynic, so
if he's hiding, if he's gonna pull the double take on me, then I fell right for it. But I really do think that was genuine Loki character development, and
I hope they keep it that way. I hope that's the way I want to believe it.
But he had the upper hand. He could have gotten out.
I have like a 10% like gut feeling that wasn't all truth. Like he did say enough of the truth, but like it wasn't fully truth.
The last time he hid that is if you remember Thor: The Dark World. He was in the prison cell looking all pristine and badass, but then it was all an illusion. He was sitting in the corner sulking.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't think that he was faking it.
Yeah.
Mobius is going to know Loki is going to stab him in the back, but actually 100% be on Loki's side anyway. Yeah, I think he's a big fanboy of Loki, and I think he's very open about that, and I love it.
Well, clearly they must have dealt with other Loki variants already that we don't know about.
Well, they probably dealt with variants of every size.
Well, I know, but if he's dealt with so many variants of Loki, so that means he has like playing cards. Basically, think he's the Phil Coulson of Captain America, and like he has like Loki playing cards, but it's file cards. But another thing that I thought, so they show a scroll, so they're still laying the breadcrumbs for Secret Invasion. So another reason why I think the Timekeepers might be the Living Tribunal is. The tribunal is the people that control the Kree. They're in charge of the Kree, right? If I'm not mistaken, I don't think I'm having a brain fart.
I don't know anything about the tribunal.
So
I am only a core Marvel Comics fan, and then I like all the movies.
True.
I didn't get into the.
Jake, if you can fact check me on that, I love it right now. But I'm pretty sure the Living Tribunal is who controls the Kree Empire and it said fast. And the fact that if it is who I think it is, and they saw a scroll there, that would even help further cement my theory that it might be the Living Tribunal, their version of the Living Tribunal. This MCU's version of the Living Tribunal, which would be great. Like, I want to see more of like the higher deity stuff, like Galactus becoming a thing. I want to see Adam Warlock, actually be as powerful as Adam Warlock is. Like, why would you give us that? Like, there's these omnipotent level threats and omnipotent level beings that we are finally like nipping at the buds and like maybe going to see, and it really excites me.
This all whenever we get into these things with like time and everything, and the other things we've addressed with time, it makes me wonder when Steve went back to return the stones, if he even had to do that, or if the TVA just showed up and were like, "All right, we got you," and he just handed
No,
them off.
because they said, remember, that's one of the things that Judge addressed. He's like, well, you want me to like make a task force and track down the Avengers because they're clearly traveling through time. Let me help you do this. I am Loki. La 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 la. And then they were like, no, that was predetermined. That was part of the plan.
Yeah.
So they clearly were completely fine that they tapped the time travel.
Well, I'm just wondering if they presented themselves to Steve.
I don't think they did, because if it was predetermined by the timekeepers for it to happen, then they're not going to intervene unless
it's just so hard to imagine like Steve walking up to Red Skull on that one planet and be like, what the heck? What the heck? Huh? I gotta give Red Skull?
No, because he realizes that Thanos was basically like Giga-tier Nazi and was like, you are nothing, he is everything.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of, it goes back to the stakes where when you have basically gods, like Loki being a god, not really, he's more of a really powerful alien. These are actual gods. They have control. They get to make decisions, and Loki even like moans about it. Like, why are you the ones deciding all of these things? Like, why do you get to be in charge of all this stuff? And they are, so that, like I said, it diminishes some of the stakes in the regular timelines. But then one of Jake's theories is that by the end of this series, the TVA will be wrecked. So
I think so.
With the stakes being established, that
the fact that they also introduced, so the fact that they introduced Sword is another thing that evolves into like the whole like different dimensions and everything. So if TVA busts apart, that means Sword's actually going to have a lot to deal with on Earth because different dimensions opening up. I know this isn't about Loki, but I heard a hot rumor that Shumagorath may be involved in Doctor Strange too, and that's a big sense, deity. That's a deity level threat.
At this point, there's already so many characters in that.
Yeah, no, I know. I just saw that recently. That's another one of those rumor things.
And Doctor Strange have history, so
not yet.
In the comics, though.
Yeah, of course in the comics, but not yet.
Yeah.
Oh, and deity level stuff. So the first deity we ever witnessed was Dormammu, if I'm not mistaken, right?
And I've come to bargain.
I think he was the first deity we experienced in the MCU, right? Oh, you also heard that Shumagorath was going to be the big bad? Yeah, I think he is. I think he's going to be either teased or someone else is going to be like the big bad, and he's like
they said the word nightmare in this.
Yeah.
Everybody on the internet is like, "Oh, nightmare. He said nightmare.
Nightmare.
And then of course people are back at it again with their Mephisto.
Because
even though the director said no.
Exactly.
They showed the devil photo,
Yeah, because they showed the devil stained glass window. I was like, come on, guys. As soon as they showed that, I'm like, oh, God, no, Mephisto.
Here's what I want. I want a scene where it's completely bananas, where it's like one of the time travel tropes where it's just like 30 or 40 different versions of the same person running around in the same space and time. And it's just like 50 different Lokis doing all kinds of different things, and like I just really want that. I want
the show to stay on a serious note, though. Like I don't want it to get too like Wile E. Coyote, as you put it. I don't want to get it too Wile E. Coyote.
Wile E. Coyote in the sense that he gets destroyed. He gets like
overkilled
like multiple times.
So
I think the level of humor they have right now is appropriate, and they don't need to overdo
it. Yeah, I want to stay within like the serious tone that this show's setting. It's setting a very serious
intrigue. Yes.
Yeah. That's what I want them to stay. That's my favorite thing when it comes to Marvel is when it's very. That's why Winter Soldier and Captain America and Civil War are probably in the top echelon for me for Marvel movies is because Captain America doesn't have like overly funny, like they got funny moments, but like not overly funny quips. It's very serious. It's very like hard hitting. It's very like emotional. It's very heartfelt.
And it's all about genre films. Like Guardians of the Galaxy is an action comedy, a space opera.
Mhm.
Same with Thor Ragnarok. Ant-Man is a romantic action comedy. And then Ant-Man 2 was a heist comedy. And they're doing Captain America is a espionage thriller with a little bit of comedy, but it's not a comedy movie. They have comedy movies
Yeah,
that
which
need to exist.
like not 90,
to,
I guess like 85% of the Marvel movies are comedy movies.
no, because like I don't think the Avengers is a comedy movie. I think it's a movie about family and coming together.
The Iron
And
Man
it's
movies
really
I see
funny.
as like an action comedy. I see Iron
Yeah,
Man as like an action
well,
comedy.
I
And
I
all
think
three of them,
I think
personally to me.
I think the first one was less of a comedy. No, I think Iron Man 3 was the most action comedy of the three, but they're also I don't really no I don't think they're the comedies
No,
because like if you compare them to Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor Ragnarok, those
those
are
are overly
blatant
hyped
comedy.
ones though.
Ant-Man 1 blatant comedy, like they literally have like cutaway gags and such,
That's
whereas
probably another reason why I like Black Panther so much too, because the comedy was very
Black
minimal.
Panther is not a comedy.
Yeah, that
Black
was a
Panther,
very serious movie.
Thor 1 and 2 not comedies.
No,
Maybe romantic comedies to an extent, tragic
Mhm.
comedies, yeah.
Tragic, dark. Yeah,
But like there is comedic element to all of this, but I wouldn't label Loki as a show a comedy show. I
no.
wouldn't label WandaVision a comedy show. I wouldn't label Iron Man a comedy movie, but Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor Ragnarok, Ant Man, those are comedy.
Okay,
Very blatant.
okay. I can see that. Okay, I agree.
They have diverse genres, right? I don't think the
Yeah.
new Black Widow is going to be a comedy either. It's going to
No.
be a spy espionage
Oh,
thriller.
thriller. Okay. Yeah.
Like a
Okay.
born identity kind of movie.
Yeah, and I agree that this 100% Drake. I'll throw this up here. Thor is much better as a comedy, guys. Like, just throwing that out there real quick. I know, like, I don't want to diverge into other Marvel talk like we did because we did when we did the Eternals. Remember
Well,
when we
Thor
did the
is
Eternals
directly
review?
related to Loki,
Yeah, true.
so
Yeah, true.
it's
But
appropriate.
like, I just don't want to get that too down the rabbit hole of Marvel.
Well, we
again.
haven't mentioned Eternals and Shang-Chi yet, so we're not getting too far down.
Yeah.
We're talking about predictions of the future of Marvel and how this is set up, and obviously, go ahead.
Yeah, so let me just segue into this one now because it goes into that. Do you think Marvel's getting stale? Or do you think it's guns blazing right now? Still as strong as ever.
Well, like I said, since they have diverse genres, it's not going to get stale. They have when you have so many different talent involved with multiple different projects. The question is more that we address this in the Invincible podcast: is are superheroes getting stale? And they're not.
I agree.
Especially with Marvel, because Marvel has access to the best talent and toys. Because it's Disney.
Exactly. They have access to oodles and boodles and good oodles of money.
And I think they're doing the smart thing where if you compare the rollout of content now, there is much more content, but the team ups are happening like the big huge like Avengers. Like if you compare how quickly from Iron Man 2 to the Avengers, because of first of Iron Man and Iron Man 2, we didn't really even consider the Avengers a thing. And then once Iron Man 2 happened, it's like, oh, Avengers is coming.
Yep.
So, but between Iron Man 2 and Avengers, there's only a couple of years. Whereas now, all these shows, even if, like, let's say the next Avengers movie, theoretically, obviously not going to be, was 2023, because we've had so much content, they have the ability to kind of breathe calmly into the slow buildup, which makes that anticipation greater, gives us more to chew on, so that when that gigantic main course hits, we're ready.
Yeah,
and
100%.
we've had the salad, we've had the breadsticks, we've had the mozzarella sticks. or calamari, like Lucas loves. And then we got to bite into that, big old spaghetti noodles or steak with potatoes. But
I don't think we're at entree yet. I don't think we're at entree
no,
yet for
no,
Marvel.
no.
Yeah.
The last entree we had was Endgame, and that Spider-Man Home Far From Home was kind of a dessert, but we're just we're just eating like crackers at this point. We're not even into.
Think, Jake, that we could have easily got more content, but unfortunately, the state of the world we live in kind of hindered that. But now we're
I
starting
like the
to get more of it.
content. Yeah, like I'm not disagreeing. I don't know. He doesn't think it's getting stale. Okay. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Because, see, for me, I thought, once COVID hit and Black Widow kept getting pushed back, and we didn't really have a release slate yet because Disney did their what is it day? It's stock shareholders day or whatever they
Shareholder
did.
meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, where they released all their information. I never
Yeah.
thought that we were going to get as much information out from Disney, especially during a pandemic. They're like, we have all this stuff coming, guys, and we're going to hold it to it. And so far, they have held it to exactly what they said was coming out. And
Yeah.
I can't be happier than that. But I think they could have had more if they weren't set back as many months, almost years they were because of COVID.
I kind of like that we had that year off because it just made us. It kind of got us into that. It was a
Appreciation
perfect
stage of what we
time.
had.
It was a perfect time because, like I said, Endgame was that big old main course. Spider-Man: Far From Home was like a dessert, and then it's like you don't want to go back to that fancy restaurant for a while. And now we're back at that restaurant. We just sat at the table. We're getting, the crackers that are there because they haven't brought the bread out yet. We're not even at the bread yet. That's like Black Widow coming out, and it's just one of those things where it's just so fortunate that we got it. Like, can you imagine had this happened between Infinity War and Endgame? Like, oh, Jesus. But the thing is, too, what Lucas was talking about the shareholder meeting, and of course, as a Marvel podcast, we're divulging into the Marvel rabbit hole.
Yeah.
There was so much announced at that shareholder meeting that we haven't seen much of yet.
No.
And like when we talk about Fantastic Four, we talk about Blade with Mahershala Ali, we talk about Moon Knight, She-Hulk,
Secret Invasion, Hawkeye, Miss Marvel.
There's so much that they've already announced that we haven't seen anything from. We can't even imagine
or Love and
what's
Thunder.
happening. But there is so much that hasn't been announced that is also coming, and that just goes to show you how this is not even close to getting stale. Like we are so ready that the WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier breaking records on Disney Plus. And I haven't seen the stats for Loki yet, but I can't imagine the most popular character that's gotten a show so far is going to be anything less.
So it's like the meme with the iceberg, right? And they show the water, and they show the tip of the iceberg, and they show all the things that is just the tip of the iceberg, and then down below is this monster of a terrible rock underneath it, and they have everything else on there. Yeah, Loki's at the top right there.
Tip of the iceberg.
At all these years of Marvels that we've been experiencing, it's just that tip. Just that tip. Avengers Endgame was barely on top of the surface of the water. We're not
so
we unfortunately Doctor Strange spoke a little too early when he said we're in the end game now, because we're not.
Well,
we're just starting.
I still liked it.
I know, but I feel like he said it a little prematurely, because you can fight a galaxy level threat, but now we're going into universe level threat.
Oh yeah, and then have they announced Young Avengers, or is that just one of those heavily rumored things?
Heavily rumored and heavily hinted at with who's all being brought to the table with Miss Marvel, and
again, it's so much
Hawkeye's daughter, and
there was never until December when they did the shareholder conference.
I agree. Have you seen Natalie Portman? Oh my god.
Yeah. Good for her. She can.
Good muscle, little girl.
She don't need to call for help when she's moving. She can just pick up a couch now. Exactly. Good for her.
Oh,
She still better not lose the will to live though, because Padme. Anyway, uh,
you did not.
uh,
Get out of here.
what was I saying? I don't know.
Lost train of thought. We were in Natalie Portman scenario,
Yeah,
but
it's just
I
it's just astounding how much more. Oh no, I was gonna say is until December, until the shareholder meeting, there was never a moment where me being the biggest Marvel stan with these movies, I didn't know what movies were coming out. I could name
or
to you
TV
in
shows
any
or TV
day
shows
what
or TV
no
shows.
before TV shows.
Yeah.
I could name you the dates, the movies, the directors, and all that. And then December hit, and now when we're talking about this, I have to like go, oh yeah, Hawkeye is still coming out. Oh yeah, Miss Marvel is still coming out. Oh, uh, uh, Blade is still coming out. I forget that the things are even coming out. What if is coming out? And so
One
it's
of my wants from Marvel, Tessa Taika, I forgot her name. And
oh, you talking about the making
Jake's
out?
got to leave. Later, dog. Thanks for dropping by. And
Thank
then
you
he said,
for
"Don't
the
forget to drop a
theories
like." Yeah.
and the physics arguments about how the mechanics of a make believe world work.
So, one thing that I want from the Marvel Studios is I want a Thunderbirds, either TV show or movie, or Thunderbolts. Sorry, not Thunderbirds, Thunderbolts. And I want it. I want it. I want it. I want it so bad.
Again, being set up subtly, it may not be called the Thunderbolts. That's the thing too.
We have the
We
villains
get a
to set
lot
up
of
for it too.
huh?
We have some good villains for the Thunderbolts team already. We have Baron Zemo rotting away on the raft right now. We have General Ross, who hint hint
Madam Hydra.
is the Red Hulk in the comics.
Madam
So we
Hydra.
have Madam Hydra, exactly.
Agatha Harkness.
We have all these characters that could be on an awesome Thunderbolts team.
Bring back Justin Hammer and Ultron. Please.
Killmonger can't. I mean, Killmonger might be alive. He is. I think he's going to be in Black
I
Panther
want
too.
him to be dead though, because his character had such a great death. It would just diminish. Like, I don't want them to just bring people back for the sake of bringing people back. Loki's death hit hard, but he wasn't like an integral character to everybody else's story like Killmonger was. So,
Fun fact: you just basically quoted the show because he says you aren't the main character. You are literally there to further people. That is your existence in life. That's what Mobius said to him. Remember, he's like, "You are not."
yeah, we addressed
anything.
that already.
Oh no, I thought we didn't talk about that. I'm sorry.
We said he exists to bring out the best in other characters. Not
Yeah. Okay. We did. My bad. Oh, my bad.
No. It's fine. We can like it's relevant, but like that's what I'm saying. Like Killmonger. I don't know. Like I thought Michael B. Jordan's performance was so good that as much as I would love to see him return into that role, I just his story was told like it has such a great beginning, middle, and end, and it has such great level of closure that I don't want them to mess with that. If that makes sense.
No, I agree. I agree.
Whereas Justin Hammer is still alive; he's just in prison, and Ultron's a robot that didn't really have a. He never really got to be his. He never really got to. Crazy.
Yeah.
So we only got like a movie of him, and I don't know. We could definitely have more of freaking Ultron because he's James Spader, and he's great.
Anyways, so final thoughts, guys. Like,
I don't want to give this episode in particular a score. I'll wait till the series is over.
I'll wait till like mid-season. I'll do like a mid-season ranking. How about that?
I'm not. But you can.
I will because I feel after 3 episodes at least you kind of get a feel.
Like I don't the way I say it is like I don't want to grade a book based on chapter one, and that's how the show is. I think if you look at it without giving it a number score,
I mean, I can
if
definitely
you
say
compare it,
between the
if you
episode
yeah,
ones, it's number one.
that's what I was getting at. Exactly.
Okay.
It is, despite there not being any huge action set pieces, there is enough, uniqueness to it, enough world building, enough character, way more character development than we deserve in 42 minutes of content.
100%.
And it's really great. I mean, the cast is extremely tiny when it comes to who's relevant. It's literally just Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, 100%.
It's literally just those. Everybody else is just a side character that's comic relief or exposition. There's really no, and the fact that we really didn't get that with like WandaVision with Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
WandaVision was setting up the gimmick more than it was doing anything with those characters in the beginning. This show is easily number one when it comes to the first episode and compared to the other.
Yeah, 100%.
And as the entry point to a series, does everything a Marvel show needs to do to
stay
grab your
elevated.
interest.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for the rest of this season.
Beyond excited. But yeah,
I
guys,
hope I don't have the freaking anxiety that I had with WandaVision trying to figure out what the heck is going on.
I agree. But all right, guys. So thanks for joining us tonight. We love y'all. Whoever came by, shout out to you all. And then whoever watches this later on YouTube on the rerun. So
and if you like this content, you can always go to Adventures by Abels on YouTube and In the Bat Loop to watch our back catalog of movie reviews and Lucas's adventures with his family.
Yeah, guys. So anyways, remember, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and also hit the notification button to always know when new stuff's coming up. We also schedule them too. So this was a little like impromptu because I've been a little hectic at night. Been a little hectic at work. So I had to like we wanted to give you this, guys. We wanted to give you this because this is a fresh thing.
Right.
Me and Justin really haven't been involved really recently with Marvel stuff because Marvel stuff's, like we said, it's been slowly coming out. So now that we're
trying to stick to when the release of these things come out.
Exactly.
Because we know that, we want you to watch it. We wanted to, if you don't have anybody to hear their thoughts about it, if you want to share your thoughts, do so in the comments and we'll be here right with you.
All right, guys. Like always, it's been fun. But anyways, night, guys. Bye.